My wife joked, marrying you was a mistake. The room went quiet when I answered. I couldn't have agreed more. It was Jacob's birthday dinner. The room full of clinking glasses, laughter, and that easy, comfortable chatter couples share. Everyone laughed awkwardly at her words. Everyone except me. I forced a smile, tried to make light, but inside something quietly fractured. It wasn't the first time she had said something like that, but this time it landed differently. Maybe it was a careless smirk she wore, the way her eyes briefly met mine before darting away, like she knew she crossed a line and didn't care. I tried to laugh it off. I even raised my glass for a toast. To mistakes that make us stronger, I said, and earned a few nervous chuckles. Emily glanced at me, expecting hurt, expecting disappointment. But I had learned long ago that silence unnerved her more than tears ever could. I had planned a night for her, thinking an evening out might reconnect us. She'd been distant, stressed from work for weeks. But as she leaned in to whisper something to Jacob's girlfriend, both of them giggling, I sat in quiet realization. I was no longer part of her world. For months, she had grown colder. Touches were mechanical, affection rationed. Every time I asked if something was wrong, she'd roll her eyes. "You're overthinking again, Ryan." That night, under the warm glow of the restaurant lights, her words, "Marrying you was a mistake," didn't sound like a joke. They sounded like the truth she'd been carrying for months. Later, in the car, she laughed lightly. "Oh, come on, Ryan. You know I didn't mean it." I looked out the window at the blurred street lights. "Sure," I said. "Just another joke, right?" She sighed. "You really need to lighten up. It's like I can't say anything around you anymore." I didn't answer. Deep down, I already knew what was coming. Every relationship has a breaking point. Hers was wrapped in sarcasm, hidden in laughter, waiting for me to stop pretending it didn't hurt. That night, we lay in bed with her back to me. I stared at the ceiling and made a silent promise. If she wanted out, I would give it to her completely. The following days were filled with a quiet tension, the kind that lingers after a storm. Emily acted as if nothing had happened, humming in the kitchen, scrolling her phone at breakfast, pretending dinner never happened. But I couldn't shake her words. Marrying you was a mistake. They played in my mind like a broken record. Dulling a part of me I thought unbreakable. I started noticing the little things. The way she flinched when I touched her shoulder, how her smiles were reserved for others, how she started going out with co-workers more often. One night, she said she was meeting a friend for drinks. I nodded. "All right, have fun," I said. No questions, no suspicion, just distance. I saw her hesitate, perhaps amused at my indifference. I had cared too much for too long. Years spent trying to be the husband who made her feel loved, respected, safe. But with Emily, it was like chasing a ghost. Nothing was enough. Too quiet, too boring, too predictable, her favorite words. I tried to change, hoping she'd see me again, but the more I tried, the further she drifted. A week later, I came home early. Her car was in the driveway. Laughter floated from the living room. I expected the TV, but she wasn't alone. A man I didn't know sat across from her, his hand just a little too comfortably on the back of the couch behind her. Their laughter stopped the moment I stepped in. "Oh, Ryan, you're home early," she said, voice shaky but defensive. The man stood, pretending casual. "Hey, I'm Mar from her office." I nodded slowly. Office meeting at home now, apparently. Emily crossed her arms. "Don't start. We were just discussing a project." "Right," I said, glancing at untouched coffee cups. "You always discuss projects with dim lights and wine." "You're being paranoid," she said, rolling her eyes. I smiled, the same way she had that night at dinner. "No worries. I'm sure it's just another joke, right?" That silence returned, but this time it felt heavier, like both of us knew something had ended. That night, I didn't sleep beside her. I packed a bag and stayed at my brother's. Not out of anger, but because a part of me that begged for her love was finally quiet. 3 days later, Emily called. Her voice softer, rehearsed with guilt. "Ryan, can we talk?" I could have ignored her, but curiosity or closure made me agree. We met at the same restaurant where her words had cut me open. She arrived looking different. Hair tied back, minimal makeup, tired. For once, the defensive wall was gone. She avoided my gaze. "I shouldn't have said that," she began quietly. "That night I was stressed. I didn't mean it." I stirred my coffee, waiting. "So, how did you mean it?" Her lips trembled. "I don't know. I just feel like we've lost the spark. Ryan, everything's routine. You don't surprise me anymore." Finally, the truth behind her cruelty. Not hatred, not boredom, emptiness. She wanted excitement, even if it destroyed what we had. I leaned back. I said slowly, "I used to think love was about fighting for each other, but now I realize it's about not making the other person feel like they have to beg to be wanted." Her eyes widened, as if she had finally heard me. "Ryan, I don't want to lose you," she whispered. I smiled faintly. "You already did. You just haven't felt the silence yet." We sat in heavy quiet. She tried to laugh it off. "You're being dramatic again," she said, voice cracking. I stood, placed a few bills on the table, and looked at her one last time. "Remember that night when you said marry me was a mistake?" I said. She froze, eyes glistening. I took a deep breath. Well, I couldn't agree more. The room fell silent. Even the faint clinking of glasses stopped. Her face drained of color. Sharp, final, honest. I walked out without looking back. No anger, no heartbreak, just peace. For the first time in years, I felt weightless, free from the constant ache of trying to be enough. I drove aimlessly until the city lights faded behind me. I stopped by the lake where we used to go, back when she still held my hand without hesitation. The water shimmered under moonlight, and I realized something beautiful. Sometimes letting go isn't giving up, it's choosing yourself. And for me, that choice came disguised as a quiet, undeniable freedom.